Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, do UK people really care about spoilers? Apparently. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me this episode, Dylan Blight.
They certainly do not care about spoilers because everyone's just pirated it.
And also joining us is Nicholas Pryor.
I am also Ashley Hobley, your host.
That's a stunning turn of events. Spoilers.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. We got a big episode. We're going to be talking about everything in our watch history. We're going over some film news, and we'll be talking about the movie that we ended up watching, John Q. But first off, I guess, Disney Plus launched this past Tuesday of recording, or when this episode comes out. We are planning to do a full-on discussion of every original piece of content, one-off special of What Do You Want to Watch. But I just wanted to get your guys' overall thoughts of what you've seen so far and the general UI of Disney Plus, and do you feel whether it's worth your investments? And how about we start with you, Nick?
So far I'm getting my money out of it, but going through the catalogue of what's there, I don't know how much long-term use I'm going to get out of it. Like, a lot of the stuff aimed towards children, I'm probably never going to touch unless, like, Stacey wants to watch a movie, like a Disney movie or whatever, but as long as I can keep up the original content of The Mandalorian and then going into the Marvel shows and the quality remains there, I can see myself holding on to it at least. But it's definitely not without issues as well. Like, I started watching something on the PC, and then I went to go watch it on my phone and cast it, and then each time it reset back to the beginning, and yeah, it's just some glaring technical issues that I really don't expect to be there.
Interesting.
Coming from the company that it is and the amount of money and time and competition they've had to learn from, it's just, yeah, boggling.
Okay. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
It does have some technical issues. Like, I've a couple times clicked play on something and it's come up with an error, and I've just had to, restart it, and it's worked. I'm giving a lot of that a pass, I guess, or not a pass, but like a little bit of leeway for the first couple of months, I guess, as they officially work through it, because it's like they don't beta test streaming services, I guess. So a lot of it is just like they test it within their own company, and then it's like they put it out for millions of people to use, and then there's a million and one issues and whatever else. So I'll give them a couple months, I guess, to work around these sorts of things. Number one glaring issue for me is because people were having their accounts reported as hacked, which I want to say no one was really having their accounts hacked. People are just putting in the passwords that, like, they found from their Hotmail address or whatever and happening to get access to it. But still, I think, like, everything this day should have two-factor authentication, or like an equivalent, or, like, whatever. Let me put my mobile number in, so any form of that sort of thing. And this doesn't have that, so I think that's a bit odd. I just think everything should have that.
Which is odd because I believe other Disney properties have two-factor authentication, like ESPN, I believe, does, and I think a Disney account does. So it's odd that they've just not included it with this.
Maybe it's because of the global thing, like they haven't worked out.
But they've only in like 5 countries.
Yeah, but it's like Google Authenticator. Like,
ain't gonna work with Google. I'll have a Disney Authenticator app, if anything. Make their own. But the overall, like the UI, I think is very sleek. It looks good when you boot that thing up on any sort of device. Like, I've looked at it on both my phone, my TV, and my iPad. And any of these things, it looks very nice. The homepage is just like a Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar. Like, you click on any of the big properties. Here are the original shows. Here's a movie section. Here's a TV section. Popular content. Like, I feel like it's laid out and easy to use. I like the way it works. And on my TV, clicking through the app on there, it moves fast, and I can get around and find what I want to. You can. You got a nice selection of pictures to use for your profile too. Of course, I set mine as Ahsoka Tano. Just want to point that one out. The couple shows that I have jumped into. What are you shaking your hand at, Sober? I've jumped into 5 shows, I think, technically. Like, so I'm trying to think what I wrote reviews for. So The Mandalorian, obviously, watched the first 2 episodes of that. That was the most important thing. Really like
check out The Mandalorians.
Yeah.
On podcast services.
Search your podcast services or find it on youtube.com/Explosion Network or explosionnetwork.com. Of course,
lore.
me and Ash are doing Me and Ash are doing a Mandalorian after show after every episode. The first episode covers the first 2 chapters because they dropped at the same time, basically. So that's really good. I wrote a review for that. I gave the first episode an 8. And then I watched the Imagineering story. That's the name, yes, which is basically a documentary covering Disneyland. Or the first episode of that's probably my favorite thing I've watched so far. Like, as much as I like The Mandalorian, I thought the first episode of that was really, really, really strong. I think I gave that like a 9, so that's really good. And then I watched the High School Musical, the series, which, although isn't really for me and not my target, like, sort of show for me, I appreciate that, like, there's the High School Musical fans. It's good, I guess, and it's sort of meta because it's like a mockumentary show where it's like they're talking to the camera or whatever, and it's like set in a fictional high school where the High School Musical took place, and they're for the first time putting on a musical based on the High School Musical at that high school. It's very weird and rather confusing, but either way, it's like a teen drama musical thing. I gave the first episode of that a 7, I think. And then I watched the 2 Forky shorts that are available, which the first one was okay. The second one, I absolutely laughed my ass off for the 2 minutes that it goes for. It's just Forky yelling at a cup and then saying it's his friend and then being like, this thing's my friend and its name is what? No. And he's like, you know how I know its name's what? No. It's because every time I see what's-it-call's mum walking around with it, she's on the phone and she's walking around talking to it going, what? No. And I'm like, this thing is quite funny. So if you like Forky from Toy Story 4, I think those things are, it's called Forky Asks a Question, and they're putting out like a new short every week. That was really good. And then the last thing I watched was the Pixar in Real Life, Pixar in Real Life, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Which basically, the first episode was 5 minutes, and for better or worse, it's basically a YouTube video, is how it feels. Like, it's 5 minutes, it doesn't have an intro, it doesn't have an outro. The first one is about, they've set up this board in the middle of New York City's park, and then passerbyers are able to stop and interact with it. And much like how Inside Out works, you can press different buttons on the board and it makes people's emotions react in different ways, and then have these actors play it all out. So there's definitely a range of content, because when I look at what I've watched so far, and I haven't touched any of the feature films, I'm like, okay, so I've watched literally from like Star Wars, high budget, crazy Mandalorian show to very high budget, engaging, interesting, high quality documentary to like these shorts that feel like YouTube videos. So I feel like the original content so far for me has been good. I haven't hated anything, and I'm very keen to continue checking out the rest of the stuff. So overall, so far I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's reasonably well done. Obviously, it looks real pretty when you open it up, and there's all these different things for you to, all these posters of different things. I would love a continue watching thing line, like on Netflix, of things that you maybe like started, but then you've, rather than going back to your watch list. Like, I watched the first episode of Gargoyles just to see what everybody jumped on the Gargoyles thing, so I thought I might as well check that out.
I put it on my watch list.
Yeah. So, but then if you didn't put it on your watch list, you have to go back and look for it.
Okay.
Searching for it. And then I think I had another couple of streaming glitches where the audio would keep playing, but this image would stay still, and that kind of stuff. But I'm guess, again, it's like first week and a half. They're not, you give them a little bit of leeway. I think just like the UI of the actual player is pretty solid. Like, it's easy to fast forward and rewind to certain bits of movies and that kind of thing. I saw someone posting, there was a post about, what's the saddest animated thing you've seen? Someone posted about that scene in Coco at the end. I'm like, I can go just quickly watch that whole thing in proper HD. So I quickly fast forwarded through Coco to that one moment. So that was easy. It's much easier than some of the other platforms that we've got. Like, I'm pretty sure Stan and Stan, I feel like you have to. It's like you
Stan
actually
is shit for fast forwarding.
You have to actually. It's like
terrible.
pressing a remote, like rather than like scrolling through, which is much better. So content-wise, I've watched The Mandalorian. Checked out Encore, the reality series in which they reunite high school musical troops to reenact their musical. That's fun. I mean, it's not super deep or anything. I feel like they just the way it's edited, they like sort of touch at things they could possibly talk about, but they never go down that road. Like, there's this couple that used to be together when they did the musical, but then they broke up, but they never like touch on it. Like, you get the occasional looks that they've added into the show to like build intrigue or whatever, but they never go further than that, which is kind of annoying. Then I watched Marvel The Hero Project, which is just a feel-good documentary series about kids doing amazing things. The first episode is about a girl with missing limb, her left arm, her left hand, and her left arm up to her like elbow is missing from birth. But she created like this through like a engineering class or program that they set up. She created this glitter gun thing that became kind of viral, and then she's sort of become this figure amongst people with missing limbs. So then at the end of the episode, they've made her a comic book, and she gets a cool jacket. And it's like, yeah, this is cool. So, I mean, it's feel-good stories, but obviously chucking the Marvel name on it, so you kind of feel like you need to watch it. But yeah, that's pretty fun. Also checked out Noelle, the holiday film starring Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader. It's a holiday film in the vein of the Netflix stuff we've been getting recently, the Hallmark stuff we've gotten historically. Anna Kendrick is very good. Bill Hader is very good. Billy Eichner are very good. But they've only got so much material to work with. So, we'll have reviews for pretty much every piece of Disney Plus content, hopefully. And then, of course, we'll be talking about everything on a future What Do You Want to Watch special episode. But Dylan, do you think Disney Plus is worth your investment so far? Are you paying month to month, or did you pay the full year?
I dropped the full whatever it was for a year.
Yeah, so did I.
Okay, so we're all on board for 12 months.
I don't feel like. Yeah, it's like, okay, so at the moment I'm definitely paying for the Mandalorian at least till the end of this year, and then I'll definitely be paying from February for the Clone Wars for like the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Let alone whenever the Marvel series drop, but. Even then, I'm not 100% sure how willing I am to commit to all the Marvel series, because I'm like, is this too many series, too many movies for me to bother keeping up? But I know I would definitely pay for the streaming service alone for the Star Wars content. So I didn't feel bad about dropping the year, because I know I'm good. You know, I'm good.
Okay.
The other stuff to watch.
Yeah.
I also forgot to mention I watched on it the World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Which is a documentary series where each episode is just a different topic, where he explores the history of it and how it became what it is. And like the first one was sneakers and the second one was ice cream. But I mean, it's fun if you just like watching Jeff Goldblum being a bizarre human being about all these topics and interacting with people. It's kind of fun to watch. And I've been barraged by messages to complain that The Little Mermaid isn't on there yet.
Isn't it?
What?
No.
The original...
Yeah, the original movie. It's got like the
Animated.
second
Really?
and the third in the series, but the actual first movie isn't on there yet.
Wonder what's the heck up with the hold up with that then?
I don't know, but it's making my life hell.
I mean...
Well, I will say we should mention we've actually got it better than America. We have a substantially larger library of content than America does at the moment, simply because of the deals they have over there with Netflix and these sorts of things. Whereas Disney only made a 1-year deal with Stan. They were smart at the time, and they obviously knew that this was going to come out roughly around this date, or maybe they knew the exact date. I don't know. Either way, the Stan deal ran out with Disney like the day before launch. So it was like, okay, very good. And
I think that worked out well for us too. Coinciding that date was so close to the launch. Otherwise, I think it would have been delayed for even longer.
I'd love to see the numbers of people.
I
that
would be
unsubscribe
wondering
to Stan.
if it was the deal ran out, or they just took everything down. They just paid them some money to...
No, they've
come out and said that they're not.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason with Sky and all that, because they didn't want to buy them out. They're waiting them out, I believe.
Okay.
In the Sky in the UK, that is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, Netflix. I think there was a Netflix deal. Like, some of the Marvel movies are still over there, so that's why they kept them. But yeah, no Little Mermaid. That is surprising. There's apparently a Little Mermaid TV series. So
Yeah, I just opened the app and looked myself to see what was on there. If you want to, before we move on for this, I want to say if we want to do one quick other thing that I was thinking about yesterday was like stuff that obviously you wish was on there. Now I think there's a hell of a lot of content on here, and I kind of whenever I judge these streaming services, I judge them on original content for 90% of it, simply because I don't really rewatch that much stuff, simply because it's always like on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. I feel like that's kind of how my life has to work. But for stuff I would love to have access to be able to rewatch would be a lot of the... I wish all the Studio Ghibli films were included on Disney Plus, because there are no other streaming service. And I feel like if they could partner up...
HBO bought the rights to all the studio stuff, so... Studio Ghibli stuff, so...
So you keep it Foxtel for that much longer?
No one had streaming rights prior to that, because they just didn't do streaming rights. For some...
Well, then, does that affect Australia if it's HBO Max?
I mean...
Well, I think anything labelled HBO, like fucking...
Potentially, it could just be Foxtel.
Rupert Murdoch has his grubby hands all over.
I mean, there's no guarantees. I mean, it could just be for America. That's the deal.
They're the one thing that I like. All these years of streaming services that we've been used to now, of Netflix, Stan, and Amazon, whatever else. I'm always like, every time a new one pops up, I'm like, Ghibli movies? No. Oh, fuck. Ghibli movies? No. Oh, fuck. Ghibli movies? Oh, fuck. That's the one thing I'm after.
That's probably the major reason I haven't seen any of them, because of the access.
Yeah, to watch them, you basically have to buy them. You can't rent them from anywhere or anything. You have to go out and buy a physical fucking DVD. You can't even buy them off iTunes. Ridiculous.
Okay. I will say I'm very disappointed Fillmore is not on the service. I'm surprised that the 2D animated Clone Wars series isn't on.
Apparently that's not owned. I saw a
Cartoon
thing about
Network
it.
probably owned the rights to it.
Yeah,
okay.
like it wasn't ever part of Lucas thing. Like it was just licensed by them.
Yeah. That sounds about right from what.
And it's not canon or anything like that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But they've got plenty of stuff that's not canon on there.
They do, but the stuff that's not canon is like
I think
Lego
stuff.
That's
not really confused.
I feel like people are smart enough to go, Lego show, not canon. Whereas if they had two shows called The Clone Wars, people would be like, okay, like, is this set before this? What's it do? All these sorts of things. But I do primarily think it comes down to Cartoon Network. I think actually I retained the rights to that when the deal happened.
I'm going to look this up now. You just kept talking.
Yeah.
Either way, it's overrated, and everyone should get over it. Hot take.
Yeah. I did look up. I'm going to watch that Clone Wars movie special before I start diving into that series.
You mean the movie that kicked it all off?
Yeah, the movie that started it.
Wow.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, but you need to watch it, right?
If you like Baby Yoda, hold on to your socks.
Who? And then the other thing was, I noticed that they've got the first 2 seasons of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's it. Even though there's like 6 or 7. That could just be a 7. 7 has the rights to the series, and they just couldn't.
I think there's lots of weird things. What? Just remind me though, the Inhumans is on there.
Yeah, that was weird.
I'm not going to watch it because who cares, because it's cancelled. But I found it interesting it was on there. And then 2, I want to shout out that Marvel's Agent Carter's on there. Good, yeah. And then if you haven't watched Agent Carter, you should do yourself and watch it, because that is, in my opinion, probably the best show that Marvel produced outside of like Daredevil season 1 and Jessica Jones season 1.
I haven't seen
it's
season
up there
2,
for me.
so I need to watch that. And now I can.
2 seasons of greatness.
Cool. So that's everything on Disney Plus for now. I'm sure we'll swing back to it at some point in the future. But let's move on. You guys went out and watched Dr. Sleep, the newest Stephen King adaptation, sequel to The Shining. Nick, what did you think?
Loved it. Haven't read the book, so I don't know the difference between it and that. But as a sequel to the film The Shining, I think it was... I think it was great.
Did it help that you just watched The Shining before seeing the film? Or do you think that was...
No, because I kind of got the gist of it anyway. I don't think you really need to remember The Shining a whole lot. You just need to get the basic, I guess, idea of it down, which I think if anyone's seen it would remember. But it certainly enhanced experience a little bit, I guess. But it's certainly not necessary.
Cool. Dylan, what do you think of Dr. Sleep?
Very, very, very good. Probably, definitely up there with one of my favorite movies of the year. I think it's It's really weird though because it's like it's a Stephen King movie that they're kind of marketing as a horror movie and whatever else, but it's
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't a horror movie by any stretch. I think if from my experiences anyway.
no, I would call it a thriller, a supernatural thriller. If any, it's like it's an X-Men movie, but like if they made it serious, it's like, you know how everyone likes to be like Chronicles, like what happens if they tell a superhero story, like realistically. I feel like honestly, Doctor Sleep's like what happens if you tell a superhero story sort of realistically without like the people actually being superheroes, but it's like here's these people with powers, like who have the Shining, which is in Stephen King's universe, people that shine. That's like a connective fabric between all of his books and everything. Like even if you think about Carrie or whatever else, these are all people who have got powers called the Shining, basically. And it's kind of like the X-Men gene. It's no different. It's like here you go. Here's some people who are good characters, like Ewan McGregor's character and this other little girl. It's like here are good people with powers. And here you got Rebecca Ferguson's character, Rose the Hat, who's my favorite bad guy of the year. I reckon, if not like either way, like second or first. We'll see how good Star Wars turns out. But she like comes along and she's really evil. I can't say like there's one scene in particular that's just like the most horror-esque, I guess, of the movie with her. And that's like scary a little bit, I guess, simply because of what she's doing and to like what character she's doing in the movie. It's quite long. I guess that could be a turn-off for people, but it's also beautifully shot. And I think the way they manage...
It's a lot more visually spectacular than I anticipated it being.
Yes. It's definitely like... That's what I'm saying. Like, it's definitely not a horror movie. It's like the way that... everything from the way it's shot and everything else. Like these long, drawn-out sequences and imaginary scenes and whatever else is going on there. Reminded me more of like a Guillermo del Toro horror movie than like a Mike Flanagan
kind of like a
movie.
Pan's Labyrinth kind of thing.
Yeah, like a Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, the Shining connection is when they get to it at the end, they're a bit indulgent with trying to be a bit.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's where it lost me the most, trying to force that in.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it ruins the movie, but it definitely feels like they spend too much time trying to throw in a bunch of Easter eggs and be like, hey, like Shining, you know, the movie. And it goes on for a bit too long, and that's where they could have definitely cut down that stuff. But when I thought back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was at the end of the movie. But like up until that point, the movie very much stands on its own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Its own 2 feet as its own thing. So
the thing I would have found interesting is the differences between the book and the movie, because in the end of the book of The Shining, the Overlook Hotel gets blown up, so I don't know where that final kind of stand takes place or kind of thing.
I don't know either. I brought Doctor Sleep the day it came out. I haven't had the book on my shelf for that long and still haven't read it.
Same, got it as soon as it came out, but hasn't read it yet.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so excited for it. Brought it day one. Yeah, never
And
read it.
I lost my mind in 2 particular parts in the movie that nobody else stared at. Was they had like little references to the Dark Tower series. But yeah,
well,
it's a very Stephen King like super fan kind of thing that was in there.
I'm hoping with this movie, I'm hoping we get to a stage where a lot of these movies can start being a little bit not like actually proper connected, because that's not like how the Stephen King universe works, but like be a little bit better at like hinting at other movies.
Yeah, the hardest thing is that so many different studios have adapted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really good.
All right.
Ewan McGregor's really good too. He gives a great.
Oh yeah, he's great.
So I went out and checked the new Charlie's Angels movie, directed by Elizabeth Banks, starring Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and Ella Balinska. Also starring Elizabeth Banks and Patrick Stewart. It's a lot of fun. It's not like a mind-blowing genre-changing thing. It's a fun popcorn movie. Kristen Stewart is a lot of fun. She plays like sarcastic-esque woman who kicks ass a lot of the time. And then Naomi Scott is fun as the newcomer who sort of is completely new to the world and doesn't understand, like, is trying to adapt to suddenly being thrust into this world of spies and espionage and shit. Elizabeth Banks is really good. Patrick Stewart has a fun role in the film. The plot is not super interesting or anything. The MacGuffin is not like it's kind of out there. But I don't know. Yeah, I had a good time. Also, shout out to Australian Chris Pang, who plays like a bad guy in the film who's pretty much just infatuated with Kristen Stewart's character from the get-go and is like sweet talking her as they're having like gun face-offs and that kind of thing. But yeah, I had a good time. Apparently it didn't do very well at the box office. So it's a shame, but as I was watching it, I'm like, damn, I would really like for this to be a TV series because I'd like to know more about these like characters, and like their back history and that kind of thing, rather than just like the 2.5 hour bit of their story that we get in this film.
While you're on this for a hot 2 seconds, I want to give a shit because I haven't watched the movie yet, but I really do want to. But Kristen Stewart was on Hot Wings or Hot Ones or whatever that damn show, that YouTube that show thing it's called. And I gotta say, she was great on it. I really enjoyed watching it, and highly suggest everyone watch it because I really like Kristen Stewart, and I think she's actually quite funny or whatever. And I think when you watch her in something like that, you kind of understand that she's like, everyone's like, oh, she's, she always seems so upset and like angry and whatever else. But it's like when you get to see her in an interview format like that, where she's just able to go, oh, everyone wants me to be happy all the time. And I'm like, just, like, I feel like you get a better idea of like what the person she is. And then at the end of that episode, they have the other 2 co-stars come in and do the last hot wing or whatever with her. So you get to see all
last dab.
All of the angels together for the last dab. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah. Did you watch it as well?
No, I just watch a lot of the series.
Okay, yeah. They all come in and do the last dab with her. So there's your Charlie's Angels Hot Wings special.
Yeah.
Which you should be tracking on Trakt too.
We can track that shit on Trakt?
Yep.
Fuck, all right.
Yeah, Nick does all the time. Yeah. Also went and saw...
update.
Yeah. Also went and saw Ford v Ferrari, which is follows Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles' story as they're trying to build a race car to compete against Ferrari for Ford in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1966. Carroll Shelby is played by Matt Damon. Ken Miles is played by Christian Bale. Again, it's a fun, enjoyable movie. Obviously, it's a biographical drama. It's perfectly fine. I mean, there's nothing too bad about it. There's nothing too standoutish about it. Christian Bale is obviously really, really great as like a cocky, kind of abrasive Englishman who's also like a car driver and skilled mechanic.
So he's playing himself.
He's kind of a mechanical superhero, to be honest. The way he's kind of portrayed in the film, which is, given his history, is understandable. But yeah, I enjoyed the film overall. If you're into cars, I assume that's going to help you enjoy the movie a bit more, or if you're into racing, that'll help you get into the film a bit more. I don't know if for anyone who's not into that kind of stuff, they'll be too interested, whether that will hold people back, but yeah. I enjoyed the film.
Yeah. When I saw the trailers, I really wanted to go see it, but I don't think I'll get a chance to see it before it comes out, so I'll wait till it comes home.
I know it's
but I need to know, is it better or worse?
For a while.
Is it better or worse than Talladega Nights?
Ooh, it's not as funny as Talladega Nights, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
I would, if it was which I'd rather watch, I'd probably watch Talladega Nights again. Spider monkeys. Alright, moving on. Dylan, you watched a small Australian film called Two Heads Creek. Do you want to talk about that one and what exactly it is?
Yeah, so it's these 2 people living over in the UK. Their mother dies, and as they're searching through their items, they basically find out that that wasn't actually their mother. It was their adoptive mother, because they find a postcard that's like, hey, look after these babies. And it finds out that their real mother's from Australia. So they're like, oh, fuck it. Better go track down the real mum. These 2 it's twins. It's a male-female twins. And they jump on this plane, and then they head on over to Australia to the place called Two Heads Creek. It's back end of Queensland, like rural area. And when they get there, they find a rundown town with your kind of typical stereotypes of Australians that would all be hanging out in probably the back end of Australia. You've got this old dude that's literally at one stage, like the main male character, Noah, something like, jeez, I can't remember his name now, but he like asks this old dude wants something, and the dude just responds by going, "Fuck off home, you pommy bastard." So, I will say this movie is a comedy / horror, and a lot of the comedy is very like Australian and rooted in playing around with both Brexit, which it covers at the start of this movie because they literally they go outside and then someone drives past in a car and goes, "Fuck off home, you Polish bastard." And then when they get to Australia, they're jammed into a bus with a bunch of other people and taken up to this place. And then when they get there, they're told off to fuck off home. A bunch of other sort of Australian character actors that if you've watched a bunch of Australian like horror movies and stuff pop up in this, you'd be recognizing faces and these sorts of things. But without spoiling it, as they begin looking for their mother in this town full of weird people and creepy characters, including a leader of their kind of showing them around the place is basically, I would describe it as someone acting like they were Pauline Hanson kind of in the background doing these things. So that was quite fun as well. And things start going not so great eventually, and then the film starts getting a bit bloody. The movie is definitely like rooted in its comedy elements though, because the horror stuff is not realistic horror. It is very much like ridiculous amounts of blood and limbs coming off when they start to happen, but it's never like grotesque or scary. It's definitely supposed to be like, oh, that's a lot of blood, but also it's like it's funny at the same time. And I think the reason the movie stands out and I enjoyed it so much is because, without spoiling it, the whole movie's premise is very much rooted in playing around with these like racist stereotypes and like the immigration issues in these countries and all these sorts of things, and that helps it stand out with a kind of very stereotypical horror plot surrounding that. But yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it. It's out. We got sent a screener code for this one, but it's out it's out yesterday by the time this comes out. So it's out in cinemas now.
Cool. All right.
I gave it a 7. My review will be up, explosionelk.com.
Cool.
Review spoiler.
Yeah, review spoiler.
Well, they might have read it before this.
Never know.
Nick, you finally got to watch Midsummer. And you got to watch the director's cut. Yeah.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. You've come back to Twitter. The first thing you did was show everybody the method in which you watched Midsummer.
Yes. It was the night of we watched Dr. Sleep and I really wanted to watch it, but we wanted to go to bed, so we dragged the mattress out into the bedroom. Because when you're an adult, you can do those kind of things.
Okay. So was Midsummer worth the wait?
Yes. It's a very different movie to Hereditary in the sense that it's not as nuanced, I guess. It's a lot more straightforward in a way. Like, there is a bit of nuance to it, but there's a lot of, I guess, stereotypical kind of horror characters like the horned up guy, the fucking asshole, the like asshole boyfriend, and just but they do play a kind of spin on it. For those who don't know, it's about this girl and her partner and a group of friends go over to Sweden somewhere and take part in one of their friends' like traditional kind of midsummer ceremonies, and it just all goes downhill from there. It's a very good movie. It's one of my favorite of the year, but I guess if you were to compare Hereditary to Midsummer, Hereditary is still a lot better in my mind anyway. Like, it goes a bit deeper into its themings, but it's still definitely worth a watch, and I'll definitely be looking forward to everything Ari Aster does.
Cool. Dylan, I saw that you watched a movie that you've been waiting a while to watch, Booksmart. What did you think of that?
It was very good. It was very funny. I think the thing that made me most happy about this movie is that I'm like, damn, it's like Olivia Wilde really pulled this off. This doesn't feel like at times it feels like your typical sort of teen whatever comedy, whatever genre that's called. I don't know what the official wording is, but your teen comedy. It feels like that, but at the same time it feels very fresh and different, and it definitely feels like it has a different eye behind the camera and like behind the script and everything like that, giving a different thing. Because as much as I liked the John Cena one,
Blockers.
As much as I like Blockers, and I love that movie. That was one of my favorite movies last year, and I felt like that was kind of felt like a turning point for like the teen comedies instead of just all going for gross out humor and typical dude jokes and these sorts of things. It was embracing like a change of direction. I feel like Booksmart is like that, but kind of gone the full Monty, because it doesn't have the pretend, I don't know if that's the right saying, but it doesn't have the lead star cast being like 50% of the movie. Because Blockers was like kind of shared, like it was a shared story, switched between points of view between the star teenage cast, the kid cast, and then also the like John Cena and all that as the adult cast of that movie.
Yep.
Whereas this movie is entirely focused on these two up and coming great female actresses and just solely focused on their characters, and it doesn't have any big names like bumping in. I guess like Lisa Kudrow and
Will Forte.
the dad. Will Forte, they show up for like a hot 2 seconds as the parents of one of the kids. But it doesn't, that doesn't really count. So other than that, it's like very focused on these new points of views and new characters. And I think kind of like Blockers, where I felt like that, for much the same reason I felt like that felt like a change of pace, this movie again reminded me of that. All these teen movies lately are getting rid of a lot of the stereotypes, and I'm absolutely loving it, because in this movie, the one character that's sort of getting bullied is they're getting bullied for like being bookworms. Book nerds, but not like super bullied. It doesn't have any of these really stupid stereotypes anymore, where it's like the ridiculous nerd or the uppity cheerleader blonde in the background. Like I feel like the popular girl character wasn't your stereotype. I feel like the popular dude character wasn't your stereotype. Like it had a very varied classroom, and it didn't buy into any of the stereotypes. And I think that's the reason I'm loving these comedies at the moment, because I just feel like we're finally moving away from the fucking 80s and like changing the way we're writing characters, because we're actually having fresh new eyes come in and write them and direct them and do these sorts of things. Not everyone just pretending to be John fucking Hughes for like the last 20 years. But no, I loved it. It was really funny. It was really great. I'm glad I finally got to watch it.
All right. Nick, I was looking at your tracks and there was one thing that you watched that I quickly looked in to see what you rated it. It was The War of the Worlds.
Oh,
I saw that you gave it a 2.
I did, and I didn't. No, it's not. There's a 3-part BBC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Adaptation. It's
the new one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, War of the Worlds kind of holds a, I guess, special place for me. Growing up, Dad, like, for those that don't know, there's like a musical album, and that's where I got into it, and I consume a lot of War of the Worlds kind of stuff. But this is like a bastardization. Like, it's got the general premise of it, but they intersplice some kind of historical, like, Downton Abbey kind of drama through it, and it just takes away everything that makes War of the Worlds such an iconic and special sci-fi story, and just bloat it with unnecessary crap, really. And the special effects aren't great, which, like, granted, it is a BBC TV thing, but I don't know, it's not great at all. I highly don't recommend watching it.
I was going to watch it because of the whole... I was going to watch it solely because it's the first time they've done it in the actual time period.
Yeah, a contemporary time for when it was set, yeah.
Because obviously all the Tom Cruise movie and everything's set.
Yeah.
They upped it to America,
time,
current day, and modern time, yeah. But
I guess it's set in Britain.
That bad.
Yeah, and they expand the story too to take part, like, there's flash forwards in it, and it takes part decades ahead of where it takes place contemporary in the story too, which expands the time period of the whole, like, invasion way beyond what it's meant to be as well. Like, it could have got better, but it really didn't win me over in what I'd seen.
Cool. Quickly hit on a couple of other things that you watched a little bit of. Vice Principals, with starring Danny McBride. What did you think of that one?
Yep, Danny McBride and Walter Goggins, because once I'd finished Righteous Gemstones, I just wanted more of them, so I started watching that, and it's a typical Danny McBride kind of comedy. Walter Goggins is fantastic. It's about the principal of the school. They're both vice principals at Bill Murray. He retires, and they both think they're going to get the principal job, but they bring in somebody else, so they kind of have like a tenuous kind of relationship with each other to bring down the current principal so one of them can get the job, and it's like outrageous, funny. Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. I'm going to continue watching it once we have time to.
Cool. So you watched the first episode of The Night Of.
Yes, I think they come at a point where we wanted to watch something new, and that come up on some list or something, and we watched that. I really, really enjoyed the first episode. I thought it was a recent show, but it was apparently filmed, this particular iteration of it was filmed in 2016, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's about a young Pakistani-American man who finds himself woken up with this girl he hooked up with no memory, and she's dead, so it's obviously... It's obviously going to be a story of him trying to, I guess, prove his innocence or whatnot. Like, he eventually gets arrested, and a lawyer helps him out. But it's a lot of tension and very good acting in the first episode. And yeah, I'd definitely recommend checking it out. Especially, I feel like it has draws a lot of similarities to the first episode that I watched of that Central Park 5 thing, like the same kind of, I guess, energy to it, kind of chaotic and emotional with the way it kind of brings you in.
Cool. And then you also watched Letterkenny. What's Letterkenny?
It's a Canadian comedy show, like 20-minute comedy show about a town in Canada called Letterkenny, and it's basically just follows different groups of I think it's like the hockey players, the Hicks, and some other group, and just basically their conflicts and outrageous kind of characters. Cool. It's I guess an acquired taste, but I quite enjoyed what I'd seen of it. Cool. I think that's on SBS, the streaming service.
SBS now?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah, I think so. It's like the first 2 seasons of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was recommended to me from someone I work with,
right.
so...
There's one more thing I want to ask, but to get to it, we have to go to the mandatory Netflix segment. Alright, you watched the first episode of Season 3 of The Crown.
I did, yes.
How does the time jump affect the show?
It's jarring to begin with, especially if you had watched the previous 2 seasons very close to this one. I think they did it right by leaving such a big time period, real-time time period between the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3. And I guess it's not as hard-hitting with the change of all the actors and stuff, but all the actors they've chosen, they play their parts perfect, really, really, really well. It's not as jarring as it could have been, but yeah, I think all the actors are fantastic in their new role. Tobias Menzies from Game of Thrones is now Prince Alfred, I think his name is. And then Elizabeth Bonham-Carter is the Queen's sister, and I can't remember the Queen's actress's name. But
Elizabeth Coleman.
I think she's been in a few things recently, I believe.
Yes. A lot of things.
They're all fantastic. It doesn't... I guess it kind of bridges the gap a little bit, because the very first scene, they're showing the Queen, like the updated all new banknotes and stamps where they transition from the younger version to the current version where she looks older, and I guess that's kind of a way meshing the time jump together, but I don't know, it's just continuing as it has, and the first episode was really good.
Cool. So you're definitely going to continue watch?
Oh yes, yeah, we will.
Just checking up on that name because I'm pretty sure I got it wrong.
Who?
Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman. I think I said Elizabeth Colman.
Oh.
All good.
She plays Queen Elizabeth.
Plays Queen Elizabeth and played Queen Victoria in The Favourite. I can't remember which Queen. It was.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Earlier this year.
She played DC someone in Broadchurch, which is where I first saw her.
She also plays the godmother in Fleabag. She's in everything. So I watched the 3rd season of The Toys That Made Us, the documentary series that focuses on different toy brands and the stories behind their history. This season was pretty good. It followed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, and wrestling toys. Yeah, it's a series I enjoyed. I just binged watched it in one night. It's pretty simple. It's like 4 hours altogether. Only thing that I've seen people complain about the series about, and I think is a fair assessment, is they focus too much on the TV series that spawn or are used to promote the show instead of focusing primarily on the toys. I don't mind because I like finding out about the TV shows as well, but I think it is a fair criticism, especially for a show called The Toys That Made Us. But they seem to have fixed that problem because they're coming out with a new documentary series called The Movies That Made Us. So I guess they'll do the TV shows that made us at some point as well. But yeah, if you're interested in those properties, it's a good watch. They got Eastman and Laird, the creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to be part of the series. Is what had them reconnect a little bit. I don't know. I feel like there's been a bit of connection between them since they're falling out in the last couple of years. So that was nice. And they said the word bronies on the documentary. So what more could you want?
That's nice.
Yeah. I also watched the Netflix holiday teen comedy Let It Snow, starring
John Green.
Yes, based on the John Green novel that he worked on.
Collaborative novel. Yeah.
Collaborative novel with Maureen Johnson and Lauren Marcel. Stars a whole bunch of people: Shamik Moore, Isabella Mona, Gina Chipka, Odeya Rush, Joan Cusack. There's a bunch of people. I enjoyed it. Obviously, it sort of works as like an anthology kind of thing, where there's a bunch of different stories, all kind of intertwined around this same city, small town. You're gonna like certain storylines. You're not gonna like other certain storylines. I think the one with Odeya Rush is kind of boring. With Joan Cusack, she wears tinfoil for some reason. It's never explained, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I like the Ken and Shipka storyline. That was very enjoyable because she's like very charismatic, and the guy she was working against was very good. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a fun, small thing. The Isabella Mona, Shamik Moore storyline is probably my favorite though, because he's like he's a pop star who just happens to get stuck in this town, but he's like super nice, and they have this special day together where she takes him sledding for the first time, and they fall in love.
Maybe she wears tinfoil because of the psychic blast.
Maybe she wears tinfoil because the electric rays from microwaves and such.
Could be.
Maybe she has that disease that Saul Goodman's brother had.
That was my reference, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's everything that we've been watching. Although I guess we'll say again, Watchmen, really good series. You should be watching it.
And his Dark Materials, not that great.
It's okay. The first episode was really good. The second episode was okay. I'm gonna.
First episode put me to sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Either way, Watchmen's the best thing at the moment. Follow me at Twitter at VivaLadil, VIVALADIL, and you can hear me tweet every single week after the episode that it's really good.
But the white people are bad.
I know, it's terrible. Fucking original concept. How'd they think that one up?
Yeah. All right. Let's move into some film news. We have news on a new Star Trek film. Noah Hawley the creator of Fargo, the TV series, and also did Legion, is coming on to direct a new Star Wars film currently called Star Trek 4, bringing back the crew members Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Simon Pegg, John Cho, and Carl Urban. It is surprising to a degree, seeing as I think it was like 12 months ago, maybe earlier this year. The version of the film being helmed by S.J. Clarkson had both Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine pull out over story reasons and salary negotiations. The idea was that Chris Hemsworth was going to come back as Captain Kirk's father again in some sort of time travel storyline. In this press release, Chris Hemsworth isn't mentioned at all, so we're going to assume that idea has been dropped. But yeah, it's good to see Chris Pine come back. Are you looking forward to a potential another Star Trek? Obviously, there's still talk of the Quentin Tarantino version being developed, but is this something you want?
Fucking first I've heard of that.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's apparently doing a Star Trek movie. Whether it'll stand alone.
What a way to go out on his last cinematic movie.
Yeah,
But
it's not going to count.
I
He's
don't
only
think
going to do
he'll count
10
it.
original films.
yeah,
Oh,
I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
Because
if
Jackie
that comes
Brown
out-
doesn't count.
What? Yeah, he changes his fucking ruling. Wait, he'll have 50 movies out, and he'll have asterisks on the last 40s for why they don't count.
That one didn't count.
Yeah, that one didn't count. That one didn't count. That one didn't count. Yeah, in fact, you know what? Kill Bill 1, 2, they're one movie. Reservoir Dogs has a connective character, so that doesn't count anymore. That's basically part of Kill Bill. Fucking Pulp Fiction. So Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs are one movie. Anyway, Noah Hawley, I really like. I really enjoy Fargo. So him as a director, I'm on board for. And I actually really enjoyed the last Star Trek movie. I think it's probably my favorite of all three of the reboots beyond. So I'm keen for more, but I'm not going to be like head over heels. I'm not some massive Star Trek fan, but director intrigues me, and I like the last one, so I'd probably go watch it. And going to watch a Star Trek movie, I feel like with all the superhero Marvel overload stuff that we have at the moment, the idea of going to watch a Star Trek movie amongst all of that as a breakup between all the other triple A blockbuster stuff is good to me, because it at least feels and stands out different. So, yeah.
Nick, do you want to see another Star Trek movie? I don't think you even saw into the...
No, I saw the last one. I saw the first two. I really liked Wrath of Khan, but no, I didn't see the third one, and I'll probably highly likely won't see the new one.
Okay. I enjoyed...
Unless it's Quentin Tarantino. Then I'll
Yeah.
probably go see it.
That one you'll probably
Yeah,
see.
I'll probably see.
But yeah, I'm
That'll
keen
make
for
most
this.
money.
I enjoy the overall cast of this new reboot to Star Trek original cast. I don't know the correct term for it. But yeah, I'd be keen to see another Star Trek. I do think the third one was very good. I think it was just on the back of Into Darkness. Everybody was kind of down on the series. That's why it didn't perform necessarily as well as it wanted to. But
And the trailers didn't look that particularly interesting. Well,
that too, yeah. Paramount need a win. So, I
You got
mean,
Mission Impossible.
they got Mission Impossible, but what else do they have?
Mission
Ethan-
Impossible.
Ethan's going to be the next Disney princess.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I know, but yeah, yeah, more Star Trek coming. We got news on the next project David Finch is going to be working on. Apparently, he's going to be collaborating with Chinatown screenwriter Robert Towne on a Chinatown prequel series for Netflix. Deadline broke the news on the Netflix prequel series. The show would follow a young Jake Gittes, who was playing the films by Jack Nicholson, as he plies his trade in a town where the wealthy and corruption involves areas like land, oil, and gangs. In the original 1974 film, Private Eye Jake Gittes lives off the murky morale climate of sunbaked pre-World War II Southern California. Hired by a beautiful socialite to investigate her husband's extramarital affair, Gittes is swept into a maelstrom of double dealings and deadly deceits, uncovering a web of personal and political scandals that come crashing together. Apparently, so Towne wrote the original film that was directed by Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski.
Yeah, which he got an Academy Award for. He did do a sequel called The Two Jakes, which Nicholson starred in and directed, which was not very good. But the
I've
involvement
got that on DVD. I've
Yeah?
never watched it. In fact, it's still got the plastic around it. I found it in a store for $5.
Mm. Yeah, apparently Finch is involved. He's only involved in like producing, but they're hoping that he's going to direct the pilot. Does this sound like something you want to see? I've never seen Chinatown. Oh, shocking. But
I haven't seen Chinatown, but I really want to see it because from somebody that I know really loves noir films, it's pretty exemplary as a modern take on it.
Mm.
And from what I have understood, it's a very particular kind of style to it, so it'd be interesting if they capture that in a series.
In the original movie, Nicholson gets a fucked up nose because Roman Polanski's character fucks up his nose. So I hope in this prequel series they get a CGI Roman Polanski, and then they have his character knife it.
okay.
Just get the actor that played Roman Polanski in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It would come full circle, seeing as Fincher produced Mindhunter and they used the same actor to play Charles Manson in both of those. So
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, you keen for more Fincher, Dylan? Potential Fincher.
I'll watch
like
anything
a good-
Fincher does. You don't need to pitch me. Chinatown's a good movie, even though it's directed by a fuckhead. And David Fincher is a really good director, really great producer, really great writer. I mean, yeah, I'm on board.
Speaking of Polanski, I watched Chinatown the other day too. I forgot about that.
What?
I'm not Chinatown, Rosemary's Baby.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Also, this article also pointed out that Fincher hasn't directed a feature film since 2014's Gone Girl, which is a sad thing for all of us here. But he is currently working on a Netflix movie called Mank, a biopicture of Citizen Kane screenwriter Herman J. Mawinski, starring Gary Oldman. So there is your David Fincher update. So a couple of weeks ago now, there was breaking news around a film called Finding Jack. Does this film ring any bells for you two?
No.
No.
So.
Being directed by up-and-coming directors Anton Ernst and Tati Golke, the plan was to bring a CGI version of James Dean, who died in 1955, back to life for this Vietnam War action drama. Apparently, the company that was going to do that, and is still potentially going to, has set up a new business called Worldwide XR, a new company that aims to bring digital humans to traditional film, as well as augmented and virtual reality.
That's yuck. I don't
CEO
like
says, influences will come and go, but legends will never die. In a uniquely terrible statement that manages to blame this awful new business model on millennials and Gen Z. Apparently, they've got, apart from James Dean's, they've also got...
Boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Ashley's a boomer.
Apparently, they hold the rights and represent the rights to more than 400 celebrities, athletes, and sports teams, which opens up endless possibilities for long dead stars to return to the big screen. They include actors like Betty Page, Burt Reynolds, and Andre the Giant, sport legends like Lou Gehrig, and artists like Maya Angelou. Does this sound like a terrible
I don't understand how they can own the rights to something that the people when they were alive had no concept or ability to agree to or not. It's just...
I guess their descendants
It's yuck,
sold
I
them
don't
the
like
rights?
it.
Would be the only possible line of thinking I can think of. Yeah, this is kind of distasteful and kind of...
the only time that I think it works well or has any kind of tact to it is when it's story relevant or they bring back a character that's like for Grand Moff Tarkin. Like, that made sense, but to bring them back for something they had nothing to do with in life just to put his face on a movie to sell, like James Dean, that's just... it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I pretty much what Nick just said. I have no problem with them like bringing back like Grand Moff Tarkin or any of those sorts of scenarios, because they're not bringing back the actor, they're bringing back the character, and that's like the defining definition there. But anything that's about bringing back an actor to have them play a different role is just ooey and disgusting, and I don't like it. And it's like weird ways we're taking technology. And then also it's like there's a million and one budding actors out there that, you know, give like silly. Like this is the same as like robots taking our jobs.
This is the most capitalistic way to use technology in films, I find.
Yeah, and it's probably like, oh, you'd think that probably costs more money, but I guarantee it's like, well, actually, we could spend $5 million on this, but it probably costs less than paying Chris Hemsworth or someone, you know, like.
But the thing is, even if they did do that, are they just going to get someone to do Dubby's voice?
Yeah,
like,
that's what the plan was, I believe.
It's not.
Yeah, this is a terrible story, and I hope this company does not succeed at all. Hopefully, companies take a stand on this and don't involve these kind of roles, but I would be shocked if they didn't.
Like that sort of technology that Disney's using, Marvel and stuff, for the Star Wars and the Marvel movies, I think that technology is being used good, like the de-aging Samuel Jackson and all these other people from Marvel movies. Like that's a good use of similar technology.
Not only that,
or whatever, but
they've
for story
used
reasons.
That and the particular actors involved have given their consent to it as well.
Yes, yeah, but it's not like just doing it for the sake of doing it. It always is story reason first. It's like it's for the characters. It's for serving the characters in the story. This is for serving
money. Making money.
Yeah,
name recognition.
What if play devil's advocate? What if for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they wanted to have a CGI Bruce Lee, CGI whoever Margot Robbie played, instead of having those actors come in and do the role? Would you have been alright with that?
Not with Sharon Tate. No, definitely not with her.
No. I think given the context of the movie and everything, it would have been really bad taste. And also, as we're saying with these other things, that is bringing back that's bringing back real life people to play fictional versions of themselves in a fictional tale based on their real lives. That, again, is completely different to bringing back an actor to play their character, like Grand Moff Tarkin. Completely different.
Yeah.
What about a biopic? Would you be alright in a biopic about that person?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just seeing where the lines are, and the lines
They're not
are
characters.
nowhere.
That's a real life. There's something special about seeing an actor portray someone, like, and bringing something.
Where do they stop?
Like,
it's like Devil's Advocate. Like, what if they bring back? I don't know, Charles Manson and his victims and play that out on film. It's ethically wrong, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Last story, and it looks like Nicolas Cage might have finally have reached his ultimate film.
Finally.
All right. From Deadline, Nicolas Cage has spent the past several years knocking out one low-budget yarn after another, making disposable thrillers or interesting oddities, sometimes in the same year. But now, Cage could be back in a way that, as he finds himself in the center of a hot deal for a project in which he would play one of the most iconic characters in Hollywood, Nicolas Cage himself. Lionsgate is in final negotiations to pick up the unbearable weight of massive talent. The Hollywood Reporter has learned the meta-movie project was a script from Tom Gormican and Kevin Eighteen, with Gormican attached to direct. If the deal closes, Cage would star as actor Nicolas Cage. The actor is desperate to get a role in the new Quentin Tarantino movie, while also dealing with a strange relationship with his teenage daughter. He also occasionally talks to an egotistical 1990s version of himself who rides him for making too many crappy movies and not being a star anymore. The Cage character is under a mountain of debt and finds himself forced to make an appearance at the birthday party of a Mexican billionaire who happens to be a fan of the actor's work and secretly hopes to show him a script on which he's been working. While he bonds with the man, Cage is informed by the CIA that the billionaire is actually a drug cartel kingpin who has kidnapped the daughter of their Mexican presidential nominee, and Cage is subsequently recruited by the US government to get intelligence. The situation spirals even more dramatically when the billionaire brings over Cage's daughter and his ex-wife for reconciliation, and when their lives are on the line, Cage takes on the role of a lifetime.
What the fuck is not in this movie?
This sounds exactly like the thing Nicolas Cage should be doing.
It sounds exactly like the thing that Jean-Claude Van Damme's already done.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
JVC, yeah.
I mean, if anyone could pull it off, I guess it's Nicolas Cage, but I guess from what you just told me, it's a bit too out there, I guess, in a way. Like, it's almost going into Machete fucking Expendables kind of territory.
We did review Mandy on this podcast, so, I mean...
Yes, but that's out there in a different way. This is, like, campy out there, where that's...
Have you seen Being John Malkovich or no?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Like, I think that movie works because it actually grounds itself in its weird rules for its universe, and that's why it works, and it explains why things are happening and whatever else. So this just sounds like you have to be in on the joke from the start to get it, I guess.
It's, like I said, it's almost at Machete levels of ridiculous, I guess. Not seeing it just based from what I've heard. I think it would have been better if it was kind of like a Birdman kind of thing where he's just trying to get the role and then he's interacting with himself and like his alter ego berating him, trying to get better, be a better actor, I guess.
Well, the funny thing about Birdman is you could nearly pretend that he's playing himself.
Yeah.
In some alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Like, and dealing with the fact he played Batman, but it's Birdman.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, it works out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this film, and I hope it gets made. If Nicolas Cage doesn't take on the role, I'll be disappointed, but I'd look forward to seeing who they cast as Nicolas Cage.
Zac Efron.
They'll just do a CGI Nicolas Cage.
Oh, no.
Yeah, hire that company.
That would be bad. All right, that's all the news. But before we jump into what do we end up watching, I thought, seeing as Disney Plus has dropped, we would revisit this segment called "Is It on Disney Plus?" Which is on Disney Plus? It is fun. Fucking hell, I'm so
classic segment. Pull it out of the hat.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna give you guys 2 films. One of them is on Disney Plus, one is not. You got to tell me which is on Disney Plus. This time we're going to start with Dylan. Dylan, which is on Disney Plus? Is it Jungle to Jungle, the 1997 comedy film starring Tim Allen, Martin Short, and Sam Huntington, in which an uptight New York City executive pursues his soon-to-be ex-wife to South America and returns home with a son he never knew he had, a boy raised in a tribal village in Brazil? Or is it Georgia the Jungle, the 1997 action-adventure romantic comedy starring Brendan Fraser, Leslie Mann, and Thomas Hayden Church, in which baby George is the lone survivor of a plane crash and is raised by a wise gorilla in the jungle? One day he saves Ursula and moves from the sweet jungle life in Africa to San Francisco. Which is on Disney Plus?
Jungle to Jungle.
No, it's George's the Jungle.
Oh.
No,
Jungle to Jungle is a good film.
I will say these are all from Disney Plus Australia. Apparently, Jungle to Jungle is on Disney Plus US.
God damn it.
I love that kid that movie as a kid.
Yes, I love that movie as a kid too. All right, Nick, which is on Disney Plus? Is it Bedtime Stories, a 2008 American fantasy comedy starring Adam Sandler, Kerry Russell, Guy Pearce, Aisha Tyler, and Russell Brand, in which the ordinary life of a hotel handyman and his niece and nephew take a magical turn when the handyman's grand bedtime stories begin to come true? Or The Tooth Fairy, the 2010 fantasy comedy film starring Dwayne Johnson, Ashley Judd, and Julie Andrews, in which a minor league hockey player breaks a little girl's heart when he tells her there's no Tooth Fairy. He is soon summoned to Fairy World and punished to serve 2 weeks as a real-life Tooth Fairy.
It's Tooth Fairy.
Nope, it's Bedtime Stories.
Seriously?
Yep.
Oh no, it's The Pacifier that I saw with Vin Diesel.
Yeah,
the day it came out, I scrolled through everything on it, so I should be better than this.
Yeah. Dylan, which is on Disney Plus? Millions, the 2004 British comedy drama directed by Danny Boyle and starring Alex Eatle, Lewis Owen McGibbon, and James Nesbitt, in which Damien learns the ways of the world at a young age when he discovers a bag of money in his backyard. The boy tries to spend the cash altruistically, but he soon has to tackle a difficult situation. Or Richie Rich, the 1994 American comedy film starring Macaulay Culkin, in which Richie Rich, the son of a billionaire businessman, must fight Lawrence Van Doe, the top executive of his father's company who wants to destroy the rich family?
Millions.
That is correct. Finally, on the board.
On the
Nick.
board.
I must have scrolled through it with my eyes closed.
Nick, which is on Disney Plus? The Music Man, the 1962 American musical film starring Robert Preston and Shirley Jones, in which a con man comes to a Midwestern town with a scam using a boys' marching band program, but things don't go according to plan. Or Newsies, the 1992 American musical comedy drama starring Christian Bale, David Moscow, Bill Pullman, Robert Duvall, and Anne Margaret, which is a story that revolves around newspaper sellers who are tired of exploitation done to them by their bosses, which is on Disney Plus.
I hope it's the second one, because I actually kind of watched that with the talent involved.
Yes, Newsies is on Disney Plus.
Fuck yeah, I'm going to add that to my watch list.
All right. Which is on Disney.
No, I don't actually want you shut up.
Dylan, which one's on Disney Plus? Is it Mr. Magoo, the 1997 American comedy film starring Leslie Nielsen, Kelly Lynch, Matt Kessler, Nick Chinland, Stephen Tobolowsky, Ernie Hudson, Jennifer Garner, and Malcolm McDowell, in which a eccentric millionaire who suffers from poor eyesight refuses to wear eyeglasses and gets into trouble. During a robbery in a museum, he gets a priceless gem and paves the way for the robbers. Or Rent-A-Kid, a 1995 American comedy starring Leslie Nielsen, Christopher Lloyd, and Matt McCoy, in which a fill-in orphanage director sends 3 troublesome kids for a trial visit to a yuppie couple wanting to start a family.
Better be Mr. Magoo.
It is Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, I love that movie when I was younger.
All right. Nick, which one's on Disney Plus? Is it Queen of Kwate, a 2016 biographical drama starring David Oluwalo, Lupita Nyong'o, and Medina Nelwanga, in which Fiona's life changes when she meets Robert Kadende, who teaches her to play chess. Under his guidance, she becomes a top player and sees an opportunity to escape from life of poverty. Or Knights of South Bronx, a 2005 drama starring Ted Danson, Malcolm David Kelly, and Keke Palmer, in which Richard Mason, an out-of-work businessman, takes up supply teaching in a tough Bronx school, but he finds it hard to motivate his pupils until they discover he's a chess champion. Which is on Disney Plus.
The first one.
Yes, they're both. That is on Disney Plus. So it's 2 apiece. All right. So I've got a tiebreaker. It's just going to be who gets in first after I finish the description of them both. All right.
Buzz is at the ready.
Buzz is at the ready. Is it Underdog, a 2007 American superhero comedy in which a watchdog gets exposed to a substance that endows him with superpowers? He is adopted by a 12-year-old boy and uses his powers to protect the city from the evil Simon Bannister. Or is it Cats and Dogs, a 2001 live-action animated spy comedy film in which a professor develops a vaccine that eliminates human allergies to dogs? He unwittingly upsets the fragile balance of power between cats and dogs and touches off an epic battle for pet supremacy, which is on Disney Plus.
Underdog.
I think
I finished it
Dylan
before
got in
Dylan even
first.
started.
I'm going to edit it so Dylan got in first. Congratulations, Dylan.
This is outrageous. I want a fucking instant replay. Go to the VAR.
All right, that's been Witches on Disney Plus. Oh, what a segment. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's move into what did we end up watching. Nick, what did we end up watching?
John Q.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I know you do things your own way,
Blood pressure is dropping fast. He's going into cardiac arrest.
but I don't understand.
Mike's heart is useless. He's going to need a transplant or he's going to die.
What make Mike so sick?
Transplant surgery is very expensive.
We got insurance.
There are no provisions in your policy for a procedure of this magnitude.
All right, you want money? I'll get you your money. We've recently switched carriers.
We only give assistance to patients without coverage. I'm sorry I can't help you.
Have you tried Medicaid?
No, you don't qualify.
My son is dying. I'm broke. If I don't qualify, who the hell does?
I've done everything I can do. I'm sorry.
Please.
They are releasing him. Now you need to do something.
I'll take care of it.
Hear me? Do something.
The hospital's under new management now. Everybody does exactly what I say, nobody will get hurt.
Yes, the 2002 American drama, directed by Nick Cassavetes, starring Denzel Washington, Robert Duvall, Kimberly Elsie, Anne Hesh, James Woods, and Ray Liotta. John Q. Archibald lives with his wife Denise and young son Michael, but when Michael needs an emergency heart transplant that John Q. can't afford, he vows to do anything to keep his son alive. Nick, obviously you had the pick this episode. Why did you pick John Q?
It was on my watch list. I added it there for God knows what reason. It must have been in some list I was reading. I wanted to watch it, so there we go.
You a big Denzel fan?
Hey?
You a big Denzel fan?
Yeah, I don't mind Denzel. What a beautiful chocolate man.
Alright, how did you feel about the film?
I wanted to like it a lot better than I did. It has a very powerful message, but everything about it is so cliche. All the characters are caricatures, and yeah, it's a very weird kind of dynamic when it actually gets into the, I guess, crux of it as well, with the relationships involved. It's just, yeah, it had potential to be a lot better and hard-hitting than what it was, for me anyway.
Yeah. Dylan, what did you think of John Q?
It's so focused on trying to have something to say that it gets so boring.
Yeah.
Is how I'll describe it. It's so on the nose with what it's about. You get it, that I think they just need to tone it down a bit and be like, we trust the audience will understand what we're trying to say here, and let's focus on telling an actual interesting story with interesting characters at the same time. But the movie's just so on the nose constantly with being like, healthcare fucking suck, fucking healthcare, and fucking corporations, and fuck them too, and fuck these people, and these old things suck, and let me put all these stereotypes in the hospital so we can tell you stories as well. And you know what? Fuck it. Here's a story about how you shouldn't beat up your wife as well. Let's chuck that in. Let's get some messages out here, people. Let's get some messages out there. Fuck the cops.
I found the tone of the movie so all over the place as well.
Well, I wasn't, spoilers, I guess, I don't know if it really counts really, but the part where the girlfriend starts beating up the guy, I don't know if that was supposed to be serious, but I just started laughing.
Yeah, it was just so, it's like it was out of a completely different movie. It was like it was supposed to be in a comedy. It was, yeah. What did you think of it, Ash?
Yeah, it was okay. I wouldn't say it was bad, but yes, it was just beating you over the head with this message, which I guess maybe at the time when it was released was fresh and not covered to death.
It's no less relevant than what it is.
It is
now, I guess.
Incredibly relevant. It's still incredibly relevant. Well, not necessarily here in Australia, but definitely over in America, where it seems like they can't figure out how to do healthcare for the life of them. But could they beat it into anymore? Especially there's this one scene with Kevin Connolly where he pretty much says all doctors are taking bribes.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, just straight up lists a bunch of facts. It's like,
yeah,
you probably got it off Wikipedia or whatever the 2002 equivalent of Wikipedia was at the time. I mean, it was rough going. But I thought Denzel gave a good performance. I think up to the point in which the kid gets diagnosed, I guess it's all fun. Yeah. It's good. I will say the movie starts with a car accident. I'm like, damn, I'm really happy that lady died because she's driving like a bitch.
Yeah, she was an absolute awful human being with the way she was driving.
And the start of the movie is really weird because they plucked that part at the start to solely so they can come back to it 2 hours later. Basically,
yeah, it's so out of left field at the beginning. It's like you almost forget that it even happened.
But it's completely unnecessary. They could
they could have shown that later if they really wanted.
Or they could have just been like, there was a car accident. All right, car accidents happen all the time. Why should spend the first couple minutes of your movie as that's the opening scene? Like, if you're going to have an opening credit scene and
they wanted to make it semi-Lynchian.
Well, okay. Like if you want to have the movie would have served better just having an opening credits with the family having a great time out at a picnic or fucking some sort of montage as the credits are playing, and it's like, and from the opening moment of the movie, it just helps build up how much this family loves one another. Something like that. That would have been better use at the time instead of the stupid car crash. I think the movie was bad. I think Denzel Washington is a good actor, but the movie is bad.
Anything to do with like the people involved with the hospital, like the fucking cackling, money grubbing hospital directors, like, oh yeah, we want to help you, but it costs us money. We can't do that.
Yeah.
And even like spoilers at the end of the movie where the other African-American guy that was hostage goes out dressed as him, and the fucking cop was like, oh, you rascally little rascal, I'm gonna get you.
I'll tell you what, they're treating this hostage situation way different than I think it would be handled right now.
Yeah, like it
it
could have been.
I mean, they tried, but
it could have been Dog Day Afternoon kind of fucking commentary and hard hitting, but they just.
Yeah, but you know what Dog Day Afternoon works? It's because it's based on a true story. Like, there's groundingness to that. So,
but yeah, it's just like you said, they just beat you over the head with it, and like the cops are caricatures, and like the fucking Tilly Savalas guy fucking crawling through the vents, and it's just
Ray Liotta's out there like, I got a fucking medal. I'm a cop.
Yeah, do your damn job. I'm the lead of the cop. We need to get this done. It's election year.
I'm fucking Ray Liotta. I got paid fucking $10,000 per hour at the time this movie came out.
Probably.
And the fucking all the crowds outside are like, oh yeah, go. And even like the way everyone was acting in the hostage situation, like it was nothing. Like,
well, it's just Denzel. It seems like a nice guy. You know, they're just reacting positive, not being too mean or anything.
The funny thing is the movie's name John Q is because that's what he tells the cop the first time. And then literally 5 minutes later, they have his real name.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll give you my first name and my middle initial.
Let me call you can call me John Q. Skip to next scene. So his name's John what?
John Archibald, yeah.
I was like,
his kid's in the hospital.
I mean, even like the cameraman, like the news guy's fucking little tick sidekick is like, oh, I gotta hack into their fucking camera feed.
I'll tell you what my favourite line in the entire movie though is right at the end. It's delivered by Eddie Griffin, the other black guy in the who he stages. He's obviously John Q's coming out of court. He's getting into the car. He's like, "Head up, John Q. You're my hero." So stupid.
Motherfucker, I held you hostage. You're my hero.
Oh man. I mean, there was some good laughs in there, but like not intentionally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think the fact that they're trying to hit that message so hard, it loses the point of what the message was.
Yeah. Also, why aren't a bunch of other people holding up ERs after this?
Exactly. They made that exact point. If we give in to him, there'll be guns in every emergency room, and then they give in to him.
Yeah.
I thought the director, like when she was talking to the wife, it was like, "Oh, we're just going to say it to get the situation resolved," but no, they actually do it. Like it isn't meant to say they change. She has a change of heart, and she's not a money grubbing corporate shill anymore. Like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had the potential to be a whole lot better.
Yeah. All right, that was John Q. It was a movie. So thank you very much for listening to this episode of You Want to Watch. Nick, where can people find you again on Twitter and on Trakt?
You find me on Trakt at Lord and Prior, Prior.
Don't play it out. You can find him there on Twitter as well. I've seen him tweeting recently.
If anyone adds me, I'm disabling my account again.
I don't know. Dylan, where can people find you?
All the things Vivaladil, VIVALADIL.
And you can find me at those places, Ashley Hobley, ASHLEY, You can find the Explosion Network, which is a part of at Explosion Pod on Twitter. You can go to youtube.com/Explosion Network to see all the Mandalorians on there, or you can go to explosionnetwork.com to see all our Disney Plus reviews, content, stuff, and you can find our What Do You Want to Watch Disney Plus episode on there probably as well. If you want to talk about Disney Plus or any other movies, you can go to our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. If you want to send us a message, send us an email at mail@explosionnetwork.com. If you want to help us out, leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or just send us a nice tweet talking about how good we are and how Ash is a really good host who doesn't make many mistakes, or, tell people about the show. That's also helpful. Word of mouth is always helpful. All right. Thank you very much, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
I can do that for you, Ashley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Every trophy counts, or at least that's what Dylan would like you to believe. Join him and me every Tuesday when a shiny new episode of Platinum Explosion dings into podcast feeds. The #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias breaks down all the latest in PlayStation-related news, releases, trophy lists, and much more. Just search your podcast app for Platinum Explosion and subscribe for free now.